All right, welcome back. Chase Thomas Podcast, taping this on a Monday evening. The usual suspects, Evan Sowards, up there in not Seattle, not Portland, all the way down there in Los Angeles, California, because that's where he prefers to be. He's good on the Northwest after another excursion back to the motherland for him. Evan, how are you?
I hope to not go back to the Pacific Northwest for as long as humanly possible.
Man, the man hates that weather. Is it just the weather? Is it the vibes? Because you had a picture where you're like, you had a really just like a cold picture of Portland and just like, why would anyone want to be here? Like
that
you had
wasn't
a picture.
Portland. That was Seattle. That was just,
was that Seattle?
That was just, we were on the water by the market where they throw the fish. And yeah, it was miserable. The weather is obviously not, I don't think people expect it to be perfect in May, but it was wet, cold, and gray the entire time we were there. People are surprisingly assholes there, which they actually, my friend who lived there, they call it the Seattle freeze. It's just in terms of people not being nearly as nice and like being kind of cold. I don't know. It was wild. Like everything I've known about the Pacific Northwest, especially Portland, is like, in Portland, the food's incredible, right? I can agree to that. Like if you go to Portland, the food's really good. We stayed up in Ballard, which is like more not than suburban, but like more of like the neighborhoods and, like in the city. And one day we went and like we got a basically hangover breakfast, right? My buddy's like, oh yeah, I'll take you guys to this really awesome spot. And we got breakfast burritos that were literally like the size of your head. I was like, I've never seen a breakfast burrito this big in my entire life.
What was in it?
Well, let me tell you,
okay,
Chase, because the breakfast burrito, I know what you're thinking. Oh, Evan's over exaggerating. This is hyperbole. No, dog. The breakfast burrito literally had like an entire potato. An entire potato. I'm not joking. When I mean like literally, it was the breakfast burritos. It had to be the biggest one you could have ever think in your life, and it was just all like cut up potatoes. And my buddy was just like, "Yeah, I love this place." I'm like,
"That's heavy."
No, it wasn't. It's not. It's beyond heavy. I mean, that was like fraud. Like I wanted to call the police.
It's real carby.
Yeah,
no, it was beyond really carby. Like like they might have had like a little bit of shredded cheese, maybe one egg, maybe two. I doubt it. I think it was one egg. And then just like a burrito. I wish listeners could see this. If not, you should go on YouTube. Like it had to have been like 8 to 10 inches long and just massive, all potatoes. The lady like yelled at us when we got there because we didn't like make a reservation with a large party. And I'm like, we don't live here. Like none of us live here. So
a lot of places don't do reservations anymore post-COVID.
I know. Yeah. Also, she just, like was hella rude. So I'm like, I was just like, after that, I was like, get me out of this city as fast as humanly possible. But yeah, I had a lot of fun drinking with my friends, though. That was cool.
There you go. JP, also here, SBNation.com, NFL writer. JP, good evening, sir. How are you?
Doing pretty good. Did not go out as much as Evan, but we're planning something. We're working on something. Now that the season's over, I'm going to go take a little vacation, whether that means like actually going somewhere or just going to Disney World for a weekend and just turning off my phone.
There you go.
We'll see, but eventually it'll happen.
You got options. I mean, you were just following me in Nashville, or you were in North Carolina. You got some fishing in just a few weekends ago. You got to get out there and explore the great outdoors. Not too long ago.
We were up in Blue Ridge Mountains. Me and my dad, my grandpa, and my two brothers. We went down into the rapids for a little bit. It was pretty fun.
How was that?
So it was funny because we saw it on the way going back to our cabin. And we're like, yeah, we'll just stop and just go sit on the rocks or something. And my grandpa, bless his heart, he's like 60, 70 years old. He's like 70 years old. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to jump on these rocks. And I'm like, no, you're not. You stay there. We're not doing that. So I went and jumped onto the rocks and like took pictures for him. I wasn't going to let him do it. I'll take the picture for you. But it was real fun. We climbed up and down a mountain, which was hilarious. But fishing was fun because I was the only one who caught a fish. And
Ooh, what'd you catch?
it was like in this little pond. I think it was a little bluegill.
Okay.
My dad tried to hate and say it was a small fish, but I was the only one who caught anything. And this
There you
is
go.
the time in a row that we've gone fishing, and I was the only one who caught anything. So
How long did it take?
oh boy, it took like an hour and a half. We were just sitting there. My grandpa was complaining to the people who run the little fishing place, like, y'all got any fish in here? And next thing you know, I'm catching a fish. I almost got the line hooked on a tree.
That happens.
I'm not letting this fish go. I will run this fish through a tree before I let it go. There's a purpose here. I'm leaving here with something.
Yeah, I like it. What was the bait? What were you using for bait?
I flipped between worms and hot dogs.
Oh, did the hot dog work or did the worm work?
The worm worked.
Okay.
Hot dog.
You just out here giving glizzies to fish?
Hey man, they like the glizzies.
The glizzy gladiators out there in the water.
Yeah, they happen to like the glizzies, and
I feel like catfish would love hot dogs. Catfish at the bottom of the. And here's a tip, Evan. If you're trying to catch catfish, you got to go to the bottom. You got to let the line go all the way to the bottom. They're the trash pandas of the lake and the sea. So you just they're going to be way down there, and they're huge and they're gross and it's just not
evil.
Fun.
They are evil fish.
I promise you, you'll never need to give me that information.
No,
never going to need to know about what bait to use for fishing.
See, I see these people because I live in Florida. I see these people in like the Gulf of Mexico going to fishing for like sharks and using like whole ass rotisserie chickens. And I'm like, dog, there's got to be a better way.
That's just a waste of a good chicken.
You're wasting a good chicken.
A rotisserie chicken, no, rather. Like that's
you're wasting a perfectly good chicken to go catch a shark to go put it back. Now you don't have a shark or a chicken.
That doesn't sound right to me. But then again, that sounds like some Florida stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's this dude on TikTok who like walks around the Everglades barefoot, and I'm like, hey man, you're not gonna find me down there doing that. I'm not gonna be in the Everglades, like full stop. Let alone.
When was the last time you saw an alligator up close? Not like at the zoo or the alligator farm, like actually out there.
I was in like 7th grade.
Oh, it hasn't been recent. It's been a while.
Really?
Yeah.
I would have assumed you would have ran into
I figured you just like go take your car up, start pumping gas, and like look over and like one's smoking a cigarette, and you're like,
well, actually, so my freshman year of college, my parents were driving. I think it was like a Sunday. We were going back home from church or something, and there was this pond behind the school, and the pond was full of alligators. We drove past it and we saw it, but when I was in 7th grade, I was living in Gainesville, or I was visiting family in Gainesville, and this alligator, like 6-foot alligator, just casually walking down the sidewalk, just going about its normal day. We made the joke that it was just going to Winn-Dixie, get some groceries, as someone would on a normal weekday in Gainesville. People started panicking. People started freaking out. They called the fire department to go catch the alligator, but the fire department didn't know what they were doing.
You're not calling.
You call the cops, they're going to shoot it. So I guess I get, call the fire department. Hope they're a little more humane.
The fire department put a towel over it, and the gator just really didn't do anything. It was like
towel.
Like, what the fuck? Now I can't see. It didn't snap or anything.
The alligator's like, dog, you think I'm too wet? I live in the water. Like, I don't need a towel.
The alligator's just like, damn, now I can't see. And it just stopped. It just didn't move. But this dude happened to be driving along and saw the alligator and the fire department struggling with this alligator. And the dude happened to be a gator wrangler, like professional gator wrangler. So he hopped out his car, was like, hey, I got this. This is like those parts in like those movies where it's like, is there anybody on the plane who's a doctor? And the guy's like, I'm a doctor. This is the guy, like, is anybody here a gator wrangler? Guy pulls up, I'm a gator wrangler.
I've been waiting for this moment my entire life.
I swear this guy prepared for this moment. He got that gator like all like knotted up in like 2 minutes. And I was sitting there like, we parked at a gas station at this point. Whole like whatever we were doing was stopped. We were sitting there watching this entire thing. And dude got the gator, put it in his car, and drove off to go, I think, put it back. And that was the coolest thing I've ever seen. Like, I thought that was awesome.
That's pretty great.
There were
I
parts in
like
like
that.
Gainesville where you could go walk around and it says "Beware of Gator," but I never actually saw a gator. So
I'm still trying to find the first black bear in person. Like that's what I really want. My wife and I were very pro black bear. Like I really want to stunt. Like we're always in the woods. We're in the Smokies. We go. Okay. Like I want to see the one-on-one because they're not like you'll be all right walking up on a black bear. Like I just kind of want to see what they're like. I want to see the size there. I just want to see it up close.
yeah,
Like we've seen the elk and things like that, but I want to see a black bear up close.
yeah. And I lived in not Gainesville, and I lived in Birmingham. We were my house was like deep in the woods for some reason. It was like right near the mountain. And there were these deer that would like stop by our house. It would be like weekly. I don't know why, but it was like a group of deer would just roll up on our house, not do anything. We'd sit there and watch them, and they'd sit there and watch us. They didn't do anything, but I was like, damn, that's really cool.
There you go. Which naturally leads us to some football, fellas. This naturally leads into some NFL talk here on this very program. Evan, do you like Deebo Samuel saying that the 49ers were better than Philadelphia last season?
Who cares?
Is it tiring you? Like, is this, do you wish that they would stop talking about this? Like, this is something that we need to move off this subject.
I get where Deebo's coming from. I understand. I could see the argument be made, but like when you lost your quarterback in the game first series and then you get destroyed, it's like you just don't have the right to say it. You know, is he right? I don't know. I thought the 49ers had the best roster in the NFL last year, period. It wasn't a knock on the Eagles specifically. I just thought they had the best roster. I would like to think they have the best roster again this year. Again, nothing against the Eagles. I think the Eagles might have won the offseason, won the draft. They definitely had one of the best. I know what you're thinking. You're like, wow, Evan is being really light on these Philly fans. I'm not. I'm talking about the team, not these trash, worthless human beings from Philadelphia. That I'm not talking about these mouth breathing high school dropouts that were in my mentions for the last, like 6 months. I'm not talking about these like LARPing Always Sunny in Philadelphia characters. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the team, which is very good, and they made some really good moves. That said, Deebo, shut up. Like, shut up. Like, unless you're going to play quarterback the next time that every quarterback gets injured in the NFC Championship, just like, shut up. I don't know why you're answering those questions like that. Yeah, we thought we were the best. Like, it's an easy layup. Did you think you were the better team? It doesn't matter. We lost.
Yeah.
We didn't have a quarterback. The one thing I like that he said is he was like, we had 10 players, which is like,
JP quote tweeted this with Josh Johnson being like, "What did I do to deserve that?"
Just sitting here watching all these, being like, "Damn, I'm really
that 50 Cent quote was like, "What do you say?" No, yeah. So I mean, like, he wasn't wrong, but like, hey, even Josh Johnson, like, you got a concussion, dog. You were out too. Like,
yeah.
I can't fathom how people are still talking about that. I would much rather like to talk about how the Eagles lost in the Super Bowl.
I also think it's funny too, his full quote, which people did not look at after. And I love him. Like, there's little buried things in here. I don't know if you saw this too, JP, but he said, I ain't going to keep on about what could have happened and what would have happened. But yeah, it would have definitely been a different outcome.
I would never put my feet on Charlie Murphy's couch like that. I got more sense than that. Yeah, I remember putting my feet on Charlie.
That's exactly what that quote is, where I'm like,
literally,
does he know what he just said? No, you're what?
Yeah, I don't understand it at all. I'm very over it myself.
Look, I don't know what would have happened, but what I'm saying is it would have been a different outcome. What?
Do I think Deebo is right? No. I think the Eagles' game plan for what they did to the 49ers defense was very smart. It attacked where the Niners were weak at on their defense.
Mhm.
would it probably have changed if
Brock Purdy's elbow? Is that where they were weak?
Would it have changed if Brock Purdy didn't tear up his elbow in the first?
Should he have been doing some elbow workouts?
Yeah, you know, get a little elbow flexion, a little
Right.
mobility workouts at the end. But do I like Deebo saying it? Hell yeah. We need more villains. We need negativity in the NFL. Tom Brady's gone. There is no easy hate button to get people hyped for a game. We need new rivalries.
We still got Patrick Mahomes' wife. She's still out there. She's a heel.
Yeah, we need an on-field heel. We need the Niners being Niners Eagles is the NFC rivalry everybody everybody wants to see.
I really want to see that. I can't wait to see that, to be honest with you.
Make it week 1. They're doing a schedule release on the 11th. Roger Goodell, I know you're listening. Make it week 1.
But that's the thing, though, is I don't want it week 1 personally, because I want them to have a fully healthy, no excuses rematch. And I don't want them to, bring Trey Lance out there, the first game he's played since he snapped his ankle in half. And it already sounds like Kyle Shanahan hates him. So,
I was gonna say, you're really throwing out the Trey Lance. Brock Purdy's throwing in a couple weeks, the reports are.
Yeah, I get it, man. But
deep in your heart of hearts, Brock Purdy's going to be under center week 1 if it's the Eagles.
If Brock Purdy is healthy, I of course want him to start. Right? I still want Trey Lance.
So you want him to start now over Trey Lance if they're both healthy?
I said if he's healthy. That's a huge if. I'm not talking about if he's ready and cleared by doctors. If Brock Purdy is close to what he was last year, of course. I still want Trey Lance. In my perfect situation, Trey Lance plays the first week or 2, and you can at least see. And if there's that spark, then as fans, we will all show up to whatever PacSun Kyle Shanahan is shopping at the day after the game, and we'll all show up and berate him in his, in his melon hats or whatever that brand is, and tell him that he has to start Trey Lance.
Look, we should go long-term booking on this. Make this make the game week 6 or something.
I'm saying, dog, week 14. I want this to be playoff implications. I want to take the number 1 seed from them. I'm telling you,
we need to make this happen. We cannot let this negative energy between the Niners and the Eagles. We can't let this shit talking go to waste. We need this game to happen immediately. Shoot Brock Purdy with some vibranium or something. Get his elbow fully healthy if they really want him to start. Let's roll him out there week 1. NBC prime time. Let the shit talking let it flow. Let it thrive. We need constant negativity. In the AFC,
I'm down.
We got Chiefs Bengals. That is the next marquee rivalry in the AFC. We've already established that. The whole Burrowhead thing, all the wins and losses they've had facing each other. That's the next rivalry. NFC, it's pretty wide open, and it feels like Niners Eagles is headed towards that spot.
Hold on, the Falcons are going to run the ball right to that NFC.
What about your Cowboys?
The Cowboys are the favorites in the NFC right now.
By the way, I love
the
this.
Cowboys are the best team going into next year.
Just a reminder, by the way, because I saw this tweet, and I would like to talk about it specifically for that reason. If everyone remembers, right, the Cowboys' new offensive coordinator, a reminder, Brian Schottenheimer has
not calling plays though.
Has 12 years of experience. Once in 12 seasons, did he have a team in the top half of passing attempts? On average, they ranked 22nd, which last year would have been the Patriots. So,
look, the Cowboys are basically the shit talking heel that everybody loves, on the mic, cutting promos and stuff to hype up the match. They are going to lose the match. They're going to lose, but it's going to sound real. You're going to get real hyped up for that game. They're the Miz. If you know pro wrestling, you know the Miz. He talks a lot of shit. He sometimes backs it up, but most times when he goes up against a better opponent, he's going to lose. And we know that going in. The Cowboys probably not going to beat the Eagles. I mean, we'll see what happens.
I would love that. I would love to see the Niners just smack everyone in their division and the Eagles smack everyone in their division and have both teams like week 8, just like dogs on a leash, just ready to just tear each other up.
It's never that clean. Like, it's not going to be Niners Eagles 1-2 again. Like, it's not going to do it. And if I had to pick one of the two to fall next year, it's the Eagles' third turnover. And I think after Jalen's gotten paid and AJ Brown needs to be like, I don't trust, like, what if Jalen Carter, like, there are so many things where I'm like, I don't know. Like, I could see it being a little bit more complicated for the Eagles to run it back than the Niners in their division and with their like, I'm a bigger believer in the Niners and the Cowboys next year. I think Dak's still the best quarterback in the NFC. That's going to matter.
Let me just say this. So first off, no, we don't care about Dak.
Dak's the best quarterback in the NFC right now. That matters.
Brian Schottenheimer. I don't want to hear about it. Anyways, I think Jalen Hurts I'm going to be the defender of the Philadelphia Eagles. Not a reminder, not their trash can city full of trash cans.
This is a great start to defending the Eagles.
Not them. I will be defending the football team, which is good, respectable, and honestly, they're very, very competent, unlike the most fans that live in that city. I think that if it's going to depend on their first round pick.
Yeah.
Okay. If Jalen Carter, like, it's a tough one, man. But like, if he is not the kid that was street racing and partially due to the reason that someone literally died from his former team, which is just insane to me that he's even going to be playing football. But if he can replace that Javon Hargrove, that's a big loss that is now,
Matt Patricia's now in that defensive coordinator room. He's a defensive assistant.
Like that. Like, that's a very real thing.
Yeah.
Players are going to hate him. But hey, listen, if Chase gets to make the argument that Shoddy is going to be actually a good thing.
I didn't say it was going to be a good thing. I said the ceiling is higher for the Cowboys this year. I think their defense is going to be really good again. I think Dak is the best quarterback in the NFC. I love their wide receiver situation now. I could if they have a healthy offensive line, I could see the Cowboys gobbling up a bunch of regular season wins. I could see them being a 1 seed. I don't think it's that far-fetched.
What is your mental math and gymnastics in your head that allows you to say that Dak, with all of his interceptions last year, is better than Jalen Hurts?
He's been banged up. Dak was still good. Dak still does he's efficient. He goes downfield.
He's been banged up. He was banged up for an entire season.
Yeah. Dak was not healthy
led the league in the interceptions.
So, on the interceptions, I do think Dak is the best quarterback in the NFC. The interceptions, like, a good majority of them weren't his fault.
Are you talking about the video that we both saw on Twitter that circulated? Like, someone did the breakdown of all the tipped interceptions, or the receiver did, like, there was just really fluky stuff.
Midway point through the season where Dak was throwing a lot of interceptions, the Cowboys were on a little bit of a losing streak. A lot of what happened was the offense was very constricting, and that's why they ultimately lost in the playoffs. The offense did not have any juice. Kellen Moore was the very kind of constrictive play caller with what he called. It was a lot of 6-yard hitches. And if you don't have guys who can catch or create separation, those 6-yard hitches become very, very hard to complete. It makes Dak have to be perfect on every single throw because the margin for error between completion and catastrophic interception is razor thin. So I think that was a large problem. I do think Dak had a lot of like, hey man, what are you doing? Interceptions where he just lost his mind. But hopefully in this offense, it depends on what Mike McCarthy's calling. That and the offensive line health. I don't think they're going to be the best team in the NFC just because I still have some questions on that side of the ball. But I do think it's going to be Niners, Eagles again, fighting for the 1 seed. They're eventually going to play.
It just doesn't go like that ever. It never just goes back to back like that. There's always some volatility here, especially the team that lost the Super Bowl. Like it happens.
The thing about the Eagles losing the Super Bowl and what they did is a lot of their infrastructure is returning. It's not like they lost a large portion of what went to the Super Bowl. They lost Javon Hargrave. They filled that with Jalen Carter. If Jalen Carter is any bit of the player that he was at Georgia, that is a 1-to-1. That is a seamless transition. Jalen Hurts is hopefully going to continue to be a very, very good quarterback. And that offense is, again, it causes so much conflict. And Devontae Smith, AJ Brown are just too good.
Olamide Zaccheaus is their starting slot guy. I've watched a lot of Olamide Zaccheaus in my life. It's not a great place to be in on a Super Bowl contender.
They can just kill teams in 12 personnel.
Yeah.
Have both tight ends on the field and just run the piss out of the ball.
Hold on, that's the Falcons DNA, JP. Don't let the Eagles take what we do. Like, that's all we have is run the piss out of the ball.
Quarterback. So
yeah. Well, hold on. We have an older Trevor Lawrence down here in Atlanta. We don't call him older Trevor Lawrence for nothing. Desmond Ridder.
Okay, anyway.
I can't get over that. When Theo said he's like an older Trevor Lawrence, Theo Ash of Stay Up Pod, I was like, that is the best thing I've ever heard. And I'm all the way in. I've never left that point. Since he's made that comparison, I'm like, I can't do it. I'm never going to, like, I'm all in on, I've been all in on Desmond Ridder ever since then. Where, like, it's just, if that's a possibility, like an old Trevor Lawrence, that works for me.
That's not going to happen, but that's okay.
That's pretty good.
You got one more year before you get to be excited about football. In the meantime,
they're winning the division. They're going to host a playoff game this year.
I'm so excited for you're like a bunch of hobos like hanging around a trash bin going, I got the piece of fish with the head, like the skeleton.
We've never hosted a playoff game in the bins ever.
Right.
It's been 6 years. What?
And
6 years?
This is the team to really cement the legacy, huh?
Well, I mean,
yeah. Bijan's wearing 7.
In the Falcons' defense, that division is really bad.
It's so bad.
They're starting a rookie quarterback. We don't know what that offense is going to look like. The Saints had a lot of turnover on both sides of the ball. Derek Carr is going to be starting. I think Derek Carr is the best quarterback in the division. But again, probably not saying much if Derek Carr is the best quarterback.
No, the Falcons can go to the playoffs with their 7 or 8 wins. That's fine. And then they can immediately get destroyed in the playoffs. What do they play like? Yeah, who cares? Who cares about the Falcons? Like, who cares?
Look, I'm wearing it right now.
No, I understand that, but like, you don't have to have those.
What did I do?
Like,
what did he say? Fuck me for?
Chase is swearing on his own podcast. The rails are off. Okay, I feel better now. The hangover's gone. No, but I mean, like, I'm just saying, like, it's like, don't get your hopes up. Just enjoy the year for what it is. Like Charles McDonald said of Yahoo Sports, he said it's going to be your and one mixtape year. They're going to have a lot of fun. They're going to be exciting to watch, and then they'll lose in the playoffs.
Look, man, I'm excited to watch the run game. I'm excited.
Yeah, of course.
Smith rolls out. I do think they are still playing an NPC at quarterback, but we'll see what happens.
I'm not going to take the slander anymore. We got to move off the Des slander.
You don't have a choice because, like your football team, you can't defend it.
Okay. Well, speaking of things you can't defend, last 33 regular season starts, 69 TDs, 29 picks for Dak Prescott. Josh Allen, 71 TDs, 29 picks.
Dak's a really good quarterback.
And that's not including Josh Allen's rushing touchdowns either.
Dak doesn't have a problem running the ball either. Dak is the most... I don't know. I'm going to go back for Dak. Dak is a top 10 quarterback every year, and it's not even close. He's a top 10 guy.
We are going to Tony Romo, Dak Prescott, and I don't think he deserves that.
Dak Prescott is Derek Carr on a cooler team.
No, he's better. His upside's better.
Prescott is so much better than
Derek. I'm not saying it's like for like in talent. I'm not saying that. I am saying that he is Derek Carr, who, I mean, maybe he's a more talented Derek Carr on a better team, because it's the same result every single time. It's like, oh, this might be the year that he really figures it out. And like, they get close, there's some wins, it's exciting. Maybe they go to the playoffs, and nothing ever comes for it. Except for now, Dak's just handing interceptions out like they're like politicians' pamphlets before an election. Like, just here you go, everyone have one.
JP, why is Yasir Abdullah a dream fit for Jacksonville? There was a good blog on Big Cat Country about this particular pick. What do you have to add to that, and why should Jaguars fans be especially excited about that one? Or did you go the other way with that pick?
So I thought the pick was interesting. I think Yasir Abdullah is a bit undersized to be a full-time edge player, but he does kind of fit what the Jaguars want in terms of versatility. The Jaguars do a lot of stuff out of base personnel, which is 3D linemen, 2 edge rushers, 2 middle linebackers. Is a true 3-4 defense. Mike Caldwell comes to the Todd Bowles tree of defense where they're burning base regardless, either base or they're running 5 D linemen, which means in past situations, sometimes that one D lineman off the edge is going to be dropping into coverage. Yasir Abdullah is not the biggest. He's like 6'1", 237. But he's explosive off the edge. He can generate juice in the pass rush department, which is what the Jaguars really need, especially after losing Arden Key. They need someone who can generate pressures. Dewan Smoot is both a free agent and coming off of a torn Achilles. We don't know what he's going to look like. Yasir Abdullah is going to help generate pass rush. He can drop into coverage if you need him to. That versatility is going to be huge. I don't think he's the most perfect fit in terms of Jaguars draft prospects. I think Antonio Johnson, it might be the best fit in terms of what was needed for the team. But Yasir Abdullah is going to probably be a fine player in this defense. It also pushes Kayvon Chaisson down the depth chart because I don't see Kayvon Chaisson play football.
Well, he was a first-round pick, right?
Yeah, he was. That was the year we drafted C.J. Henderson and Kayvon Chaisson in the first round.
Did you stay on the Panthers? Where is he now?
He is on the Panthers.
Okay. Florida guy, right? Yeah, that did not work out pretty early on. Yep. And
then
it's weird, too, because Campbell looks like he's going to be a stud for y'all for a while. Yeah. And there was a lot of are you sure? Are you sure he's going to be? It felt like a reach at the time, and it looks like he's going to be a long-time starter in this league and a good player. So, again, the NFL draft, it's a crapshoot. Why do we try and get in?
Just rolling dice here. We're rolling dice.
I love that Evan wrote the Cowboys suck in the Google chat. I appreciate that.
Addition. That wasn't me. I can't read.
Oh, well, there you go. Evan, if you had to rank the quarterbacks who went the Big Four in terms of your estimation, likelihood that they succeed and don't succeed 1 through 4 based on the situation they found themselves in, how would you rate them? In terms of likely to, number 1, likely to succeed, most confident in, and 4 being the least confident.
I mean, it's something I've thought about a lot where it's just I think the Panthers are a decent place for a quarterback to go. I'm always excited to watch the Shanahan coaching tree. Obviously, it's a little different. D'Amico's, defensive minded, but he did bring some people with him. I want to say, right, that that CJ is going to be in a good position. But I'm a little worried about Zach Wilson and the Jets, and how that happened. So you're like, I don't know. I really think I like, no matter what, I think I like Anthony Richardson the most out of that situation. I like the Colts. I think that the Colts did something that is always really important to me is when they go, I don't care about anything. I want the most talent. I want the most physically talented person on, in the draft. And I think a lot of people had that feeling too. And a lot of people wanted him to go even higher than he did. I don't know. I feel like I'm just saying shitty things constantly left and right, but I don't want a short quarterback. I want nothing to do with the short kings when it comes to quarterbacks.
Brock Purdy's 6'1", and to put that in perspective, he's got several inches on Bryce Young. And when you see Brock Purdy out there running around and navigating,
he looks tiny.
He looks extremely tiny on a football field. And I'm not sure I'm ready because there's a difference. And JP, you watch college football as much as me, where it's there's going to be a difference and kind of a unbelievable, getting used to of Bryce Young around only NFL 1% of 1% athletes versus what he's running around with in college. Because look, I love the University of Tennessee and I love college football, but it's a little bit different when everyone is a supreme athlete and huge and long and everything else. And then you see Bryce and you're like, oh, 5'10" and his size is just something it's going to be bonkers to actually see him play football at the end.
Is CJ Stroud really 6'3"?
He's pretty tall.
Or is that like a 6'2.5"?
No, I would lean more 6'3". He's pretty big.
Because
that's fine. I think the thing with Bryce is I'm not as much worried about his height as I am the 184 or 185. I know he bulked up to 204 in the combine, but that feels
Not real.
so much like water weight.
Yeah.
He didn't weigh in at the pro day, and I wouldn't have weighed in either. But again, you take that into account. I'm worried about the size and the weight not because he's going to take like one bone crushing hit like you see in like the movies, but it's the attrition of playing in the NFL, getting hit constantly over and over and over and over. That's the biggest thing I'm worried about with him. I think sometimes he creates his own pressure. He drifts backwards in the pocket because he can't really see over the field. But what the Panthers are going to do, what I think they're going to do, is they're going to create an RPO-based offense. It's going to get the ball out of his hands. Bryce Young's very quick processor, very quick release. He can get the ball out to playmakers. That's why I think the Jonathan Mingo pick in the second round is very interesting because he's very good after the catch. I think that's going to be the
And Ole Miss runs a bunch of RPO stuff. That's what they live off. Matt Corral like only needed RPO stuff, and he's still on the roster.
Ole Miss is a Mickey Mouse offense.
Thank you for throwing someone else under the bus. Thank you for not allowing it just to be Tennessee with the Mickey Mouse offense.
Tennessee. I think Ole Miss's offense is fine, good for a college offense, but when it comes to evaluating draft prospects, it is very much Mickey Mouse. But Jonathan Mingo is going to be very good after the catch. That's where I think that offense, Bryce Young, is going to have success the quickest. It's kind of similar to Tua. I think they're very different players in terms of after, like when the pocket breaks down. But in terms of what they do best in the RPO game, getting the ball out quickly, they're very similar. I am with Evan, though. I do think Anthony Richardson in Indy is going to be a perfect fit. Because if you think about what Shane Steichen did with the offense in Philadelphia, how the floor of the offense was maximized by Jalen Hurts' dynamic ability as a runner. That offense in Indy allows Anthony Richardson to start right away because he maximizes your floor as a runner. You can minimize the offense while he takes the reps as a quarterback passing the ball, which I think he's a lot closer to being a fully finished product as a passer than people think. I think there were a little bit of footwork issues that led to the accuracy problems, but in terms of managing the pocket and the pocket movement, it's very rare that you see a guy his size moving like that in the pocket and evading pressure. So I think he is the best fit.
Kyler did a good example of showing people that this is what success can look like if you're a shorter quarterback. And I do think it's possible, but I don't think it's as easy as to replicate as people understand. And
Kyler is also a one-of-one athlete.
I was about to say the same thing. It's like he's a supreme athlete. Like it's just different.
He could win and play baseball, and been a pro.
Like the reaction time with the controller in his hand.
Do you remember the run JP against Texas? Stuff like that where you're just like, that's different. That's a different kind of athlete altogether.
The way I think about with Bryce Young is, and all the shorter quarterbacks, is you have to have a special talent to make up for the lack of size. And for Drew Brees, it was his mind and his ability to process information. He became such a buzzsaw in the short areas of the field because he was a supercomputer at quarterback. Kyler is an extremely good athlete, like a great athlete. Probably a very underrated, one of the best we've seen in the NFL at the position, as a quarterback. Russell Wilson, extremely strong arm, also a very good athlete when he was young. Again, baseball player, very good athlete. Bryce Young's, he's not as athletic as Kyler or Russ. Doesn't have the super processing yet of Drew Brees because he just hasn't played that much. But what Bryce Young does is his ability to see things before they happen, the feel for the game, is very much that was the most impressive thing when watching him. It felt like he was moving faster than the other players because you see all the highlight throws off the scrambles where he just finds guys. That is more feel for the game. He's a very instinctual passer.
Do you think that's why you got the 98% on the S2 test, cognitive test?
I mean, I still know very little about the S2 test. I still think we all know very little about the S2 test. But if he scored very high in a test that says they are highly grading players' ability to I don't know how to.
It's dissect information basically and process stuff in front of you very quickly. It's basically to see if like you can see what the defense is giving you, see what all this stuff is happening in real time, really quickly, and how well you're able to read and react and understand what's in front of you.
It's like those old Madden 05 drills.
Yeah.
Vision cone passing. Yeah. If Bryce Young scored high, I can see that because you see it on the field. His ability to process what's going on when things go wrong.
Yeah.
Probably his selling point.
That's huge, especially when you're, like you said, you have to be elite in other areas when you're that size. And if like he's an elite processor and able to do like that matters.
Yeah. Again, going to make anime reference. It's like Blue Lock. Some players have like extreme speed, like Chigiri. He is really, really, really fast. Isagi is not the fastest, strongest, or smartest, but he has the ability to be like his special gift is what they call puzzle pieces. He puts a puzzle into his mind of how he sees the field and creates the missing puzzle piece by just moving into that area and scoring a goal. Bryce Young has the puzzle pieces in his head. And once he finds that missing piece, he's going to insert himself and make a play.
Yeah. If I had to do mine 1 through 4, because it's also interesting. I mean, you're going to see this in real time, JP. Like you're going to get 2 apiece experiences. Maybe not Will Levis right away. We'll see what happens with Tannehill, but he's been getting banged up here.
Tannehill's not giving up that job. You're going to have to pry from him.
Well, I'm saying he's going to get hurt. Like Tannehill, I don't think is going to make it through the whole season. Like I'll believe it when I see it with 17 games of Ryan Tannehill this year. Yeah. But I mean, they're all in the AFC South. Like the AFC South looked at the situation with Trevor Lawrence last year. And I just think they all collectively were like, this is a problem. This is and the problem is too, is I don't think any of those 3 have the Trevor Lawrence upside. Like, I don't think any of them can be, maybe Richardson, the best case scenario for Anthony Richardson, he could be better, but like Trevor's really good. And I think if you're a Jags fan, you're feeling really good. These teams are scrambling to be like, we don't really have a chance in this division anytime soon unless we get someone who can go one for one with Trevor Lawrence when it matters. And you saw Dobbs, my guy, going down the stretch here against Trevor Lawrence. It's not really the same. And what Trevor Lawrence did in the second half against the Chargers, it's a rare thing to find that special quarterback. And I think he's going to be a top 5 quarterback for like the next 10 to 15 years. I think that's just happening. With all that being said, I think 2 of those guys don't work out in the AFC South. And if I had to forecast I think 2 of the 4 ultimately work and 2 of the 4 don't. I think Bryce, I'm pretty comfortable saying works. I just don't think it goes very long. I think Bryce is really good for like 6 to 7 years. And then when the injuries start piling up, he maybe gets scared. He starts doing things differently because he's banged up and trying not to get hurt. I could see him changing and that affecting stuff. But I think early on, Bryce is going to be really good. Like, I think Bryce is going to be a Super Bowl-esque quarterback. Like, if you get the right pieces and they do enough around him in the NFC, a wide open NFC, I think he could be good. And the Panthers could be good sooner rather than later. And then of the AFC South, I think it's CJ Stroud, actually. Do you know who doesn't have success in the Kyle Shanahan light offense? Nobody. Every quarterback, you put him in there, and it's going to be
Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
That's just literally, it's just more Zach Wilson.
Zach Wilson's the only one that hasn't worked.
It really is Zach Wilson, isn't it?
In fact, I would like to ask you what quarterback in a disciple of the Kyle Shanahan offense has thrived, and I guess Tua's
Matt Stafford.
Well, Stafford doesn't count. The
Stafford
number one
won a Super
overall
Bowl.
pick.
His year 1 with it.
The number 1 overall pick doesn't.
Yeah, but McVay is still. They're doing Shanahan stuff.
No. You don't get to use that on the number
Jimmy
1 overall
Garoppolo.
pick.
Jimmy was fine.
I'm saying of a.
Mike White. Mike White's terrible in just about every other system, and he was serviceable last year for the Jets. Like, he had some runs. Like, I think it just makes things easier. And if I had to bet against whoever the Tennessee Titans OC is right now and what they like to do in that wide receiver room, which is probably the worst in the NFL, I'm going to go ahead and scratch out the Titans there for Will Levis.
Well, I think
they're going to start Andre Dillard at left tackle. Like, that's not a spot
they're very, very far away from competing on offense. And that's why I think they're ultimately going to ride it out with Ryan Tannehill, and then Will Levis will take over next year. Because the thing with Will Levis is you don't want him in there taking all those hits. But
he's going to play. All 3 of these guys are going to play in the AFC South this year. They're all going to find their way to the field.
I know, but I'm terrified for Will Levis because Will Levis likes to get hit.
Yeah.
He gets hit a lot. a lot of it wasn't his fault with the offense last year just being like really, really bad at Kentucky, but he also invites pressure upon himself. He's a little bit like Tannehill. He is very much like Tannehill. If Ryan Tannehill like inhaled an entire bottle of like Q4 pre-workout before a game, that's Will Levis. Will Levis is a little more of a risk taker than Ryan Tannehill. I think he's a little stronger, a little more athletic than Ryan Tannehill, but I think they both like effectively work over the middle. They're over the middle quarterbacks who operate the best there, but Will Levis takes a lot of hits. And behind that offensive line with those receivers, I'm very concerned if he starts right away.
I also love, just because draft season is insane and the way teams look at this. Like he wore the sleeve. Evan, I don't know if you remember this. Will Levis went sleeveless for his combine.
Yeah.
Turned off a lot of teams. They were like, "This, we didn't know we purchased a ticket to the gun show here in Lexington." That was not on their menu. They were like, "All right, we're out of the Will Levis business."
Listen. I gotta say, as a fellow jacked man myself, off-putting. Nobody wants to see that.
Are you not a sleeveless guy at the gym?
No, I mean, so let me say this: at the gym, I'll do tank tops.
Okay.
About like the second I leave.
Okay.
They're
You're not going to Chipotle with the.
They're not. Yeah, they're not hanging out. No one wants to see it.
Yeah. If I'm at a gym, like it's like a shoulder day or like an upper body day, I'll do a tank top. If I don't have my shirt, I'll do a tank top. But
you're not going to Chili's that night for dinner with the tank top.
I will tell you this. I'll just say this. And I'm not. I mean, Will is a little bit bigger than me, not by much, but he is a little bit bigger than me. Whatever. I've worked out for 10 years now. It is what it is. I've never once had a girl come up to me and be like, "Oh, nice muscles." I've only had other bros who also work out as much as me come up and be like, "Hell yeah, dog. Hell yeah." So like, you got to imagine, you know what I mean? Like if he's going out in the football field and he's shredded, which is not necessarily something quarterbacks do. And like, you're like, sleeves off, everyone's watching me. Like that's a little off-putting. You know who's going to be?
I didn't know where this story was going, and it ended up with Evan siding with the NFL teams who were like, "Yeah, I'd drop him off my board."
Well,
that's
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. That's my point of this is this: the only people on the planet that would like see that and be like, "Hell yeah, dog," are the guys that just got done blasting biceps and triceps for like 4 hours. They're like, saw that, like, hell yeah, brother, get shredded.
In fact, I know exactly what you're talking about.
I'm trying to get like you, bro. I'm trying to get like you, bro. Everyone else is like, you douchebag.
I just love that we're like the conversation around Will Levis was he's too jacked.
Yes.
Well, he was. But it was also more than that, though, right? Because he was too jacked, but then also he's biting bananas with like the full skin on, and then he's like putting mayonnaise in coffee. Like,
yeah, he's doing a lot.
It's just too much.
Yeah,
like you don't get to do that. You get to maybe do one of those things. You certainly don't get to do all of those things and not be the number one quarterback taken. Like, you're doing weird shit, and you're the fourth quarterback getting taken. Like, come on.
So Will Levis is from like Madison, Connecticut.
That's a little too close to New York to be doing something like that. I know I don't know geography much on the East Coast, but I know Connecticut's close to New York, and if you do things like that in New York, you get your ass kicked. So like,
I chose to go to Kentucky. There's some weird stuff in Kentucky.
A whole lot of going on.
You know, people who like who go to Kentucky to play football do, or what they like.
Drinking.
Maybe. They like losing to the University of Tennessee because that is all the Kentucky Volunteers do year over year over year. Do you know who we're never afraid from? The Kentucky Wildcats. Do you know what they could be coming into any game? Number one, it doesn't matter.
JP,
what an irrelevant program.
Quick question.
What an irrelevant program. Like when you come into
quick
Kentucky,
question. Do you think they say that about basketball? Do you think Kentucky says that about
Rick
Tennessee?
Barnes owns Kentucky. Outside of this year, Rick Barnes has been kicking Kentucky's butt for the last 7 years.
I will say Tennessee basketball actually like kicks ass. Like
we're preseason top 10 again.
When I was in Orlando, when I was at the NCAA tournament, they got after Duke. Like that.
Yes.
Listen, until I see Drake come out in warm-ups.
We just offered Molo's son a scholarship. Do you know who's going to be on the Tennessee baseball team in 2 years? Manny Ramirez's son. We are the cool university.
I won't go that far.
The cool one.
The
Number
cool
1.
University.
Balls are back.
The cool university.
I don't know about
We have the coolest offense, Mickey Mouse offense, whatever you want to call it. You know what it is? Fun times. You want to come to the University of Tennessee? Do you want to hear like Kentucky Sports Radio, who they were talking about after the game? We're like, we can't even hate. The atmosphere was unreal. Like, just the fans are just, they don't stop. It's just from start to finish. There's nothing like it. Bring FAU's ass up to Knoxville for a football game, and let's see what happens on a home atmosphere.
You specified football, knowing that we have a first-year head coach going
yes.
here.
Tom Herman, never heard of him.
Look,
get him in here.
You don't want Dusty up there, though. You don't want Dusty.
No, I don't really want Dusty. The wound's still fresh.
Saying Tennessee.
Dusty May, he's the coach of FAU basketball who beat Tennessee.
You know, I'm just happy to be involved right now. To be honest with you, I'm just glad to be a part of the conversation.
Saying Tennessee is the coolest university in America right now, a few days after LeBron James' son just committed to USC, who also has 2 other 5 stars on that team, and also Caleb Williams, and also I forgot her name, but she's the number 1 recruit in women's basketball.
Yeah,
it was like 1 billion followers.
They don't play baseball in USC. They don't count. You're out. You got to be top 25 in baseball too. You got to be in there. You have to be all across the board. Tennessee is everything school HQ. Top 5 in softball, dominating in track, dominating in rowing. It doesn't matter. Anywhere you want to go, JP, Tennessee is an everything school HQ. Number 1 recruiting class in college baseball in 2024 right now. Basketball, transfer portal winners, preseason top 10.